So here's some of the reaction. Okay, first of all, the former president reacts. This is it in part from Truth Social. Speaking, I think, about the judge, his credibility and that of Letitia James has been shattered. We will abide by the decision of the appellate division and will post either a bond, equivalent securities, or cash. So he's going to post it, which is good. That means she cannot begin the process of seizing his assets. This also shows how ridiculous and outrageous Engoron's, remember the judge in this case is the smiling judge who was like enamored with himself. It shows how ridiculous and outrageous his original decision was at $450 million. And then we switched to all caps in the Trump post. I did nothing wrong, and New York should never be put in a position like this again. Businesses are fleeing, violent crime is flourishing, and it is very important that this be resolved in its totality as soon as possible. Thank you. Then we have Lawrence Tribe, Harvard law professor, the sort of nemesis of Alan Dershowitz in some ways, Michael, and a committed lefty who writes, the New York Appellate Court's unexplained reduction from $454 million to $175 million in the bond Trump must post in 10 days to secure the judgment pending appeal is a travesty of justice. Let's hope public disgust with this preferential treatment will come back to bite Trump politically. He's getting more favorable treatment than the average civilian would. That is the position of Mr. Tribe. What do you make of it, Professor?
Well, I guess $150 million is preferable to $450 million. So in that limited sense, that's true. But I don't think the most committed anti-Trumper in the world could say that Trump has gotten preferential treatment from our justice system at any point since he descended the golden escalator at Trump Tower. Consistently and from the very beginning, the justice system has been demonstrably corrupted, perverted to destroy him, to destroy his campaign by spying on him and colluding with the Democrats and the Russians to cook up a bunch of nonsense about him, then to undermine his presidency, then to oust him twice, and then to change the election rules so he doesn't get reelected, and now to imprison him throwing spaghetti at a wall when you look at the prosecutions, to seize his properties. The fact that the New York Attorney General, who's been pushing the whole civil fraud case, campaigned on getting this guy and then would just post on social media all the extra interest that she was going to get from him, and then gave comments to the press to say that she was looking forward to seizing his buildings. She wanted the one down on Wall Street.
Let me play that. Let me just play that in case people haven't heard it, because you can hear the glee, like the controlled glee and anticipation in Letitia James's voice when she's talking about waiting to see whether he could post this $454 million bond. Stop 3.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets. We are prepared to make sure that the judgment is paid to New Yorkers. And yes, I look at 40 Wall Street each and every day.
Wow. Each and every day. Well, she's going to have to look at something else for the time being, because this thing's been reduced and she's not going to be seizing any buildings. And you know who else is going to be sad? Very sad. The ladies over at The View. Take a look at SOT 2.
You know who says he cannot come up with the cash to cover his $400 million plus bond in his New York fraud case.
And I can't wait to see the chains on Trump Tower, actually, on Fifth Avenue. I'm kind of excited about it.
That was Whoopi Goldberg and Sonny Hostin for the listening audience. They're excited about it. Well, they too are having a disappointing day, Michael.
It reminds me of Winston Churchill's line that socialism is the gospel of envy and the creed of ignorance. In this case, Letitia James and the ladies at The View are not even hiding their envy. They're not even hiding their acquisitiveness. They just want to take what Trump has. It can be unprecedented for an American president. It can be obviously unjust. It can be capricious. It doesn't matter. They don't like him, and they want to take everything that he has. The political downside for the liberals going this far when it comes to Trump, though, is they're really good at the stick. they're reasonably good at the stick. I guess they're not going to get his building, and they haven't been able to convict him of anything yet. But they're not good at the carrot. So Trump, at this point, he's a man who, though he seems rather youthful and vigorous, is a man of a certain age. He's running for the one additional term that he can serve for as president. He's done everything that he's wanted to do. And they've tried to take everything from him, and they've dragged his name through the dirt for 8 years now. He doesn't really have anything to lose. They've given him no reason to go quietly off into the sunset. And so when you've thrown everything that you've got at him by, what is it, March, then what are they planning for the rest of the election?
If
after going after him, right. I mean, who knows? They might try to just like throw him off a boat somewhere. But at this point, they've thrown everything that they seem to have, and he's still up on Biden in all the swing states. So if I were the Democrats, I would be panicking.
Yeah, well, I think there is some panic there. And you can see it in the reaction to this reduction of it's reduced by 300 million. I mean, what does this say about the initial judgment that it's been reduced by, is it 300 million? And it's still pushing 200 million. Okay. Meanwhile, in another New York courtroom down the road, there is a criminal trial that was supposed to begin today. This is one of the big 4 criminal trials against Trump. This is the Stormy Daniels hush money payment trial. He paid her. That's not illegal, but he didn't write it down in his company books as hush payment, which kind of defeats the nature of a hush payment, but okay. And they've turned that into a campaign finance violation, which somehow parlays it into a felony, according to the prosecutor, Alvin Bragg. No one can follow. If you can't follow, you're not alone. No one can follow. Well, that trial is supposed to begin today, but because certain documents that were in the possession of federal prosecutors were not turned over to the parties in the case, despite some demands to do so, the judge has now given a bit of a reprieve on the trial date because they just did turn over those documents. And the Trump team is saying, there are 10,000 documents here. We can't have a trial starting on Monday. We just got these. And these should have been given to us a long time ago. And the DA is saying, hey, they came from the feds, not from us. It's not our bad. And the judge, who definitely doesn't like Trump, is like, you know what, even though I don't like you, I have to recognize I can't start the trial on Monday. And they're in there this morning discussing when to start this trial, and it's not yet settled as of the time we're taping this at 12:13. But it sounds like this judge is just as much of a Trump hater as Judge Engoron and the other one, Michael. The judge is cross-examining Trump's lawyer. Why, as a U.S. attorney, didn't you know that you could immediately seek these documents you wanted from the feds? You waited until 2 months before the trial. This guy, I think, is saying, I asked for the documents from the DA. It was his obligation to get them, if they were relevant to this case, blah, blah, blah. But it's clear to me this judge already hates Team Trump, and I don't think he's going to give them much of a delay on this trial. There's Team Trump wants a 90-day delay, and the DA's office said you can have 30 days. I predict it'll be a 30-day delay. This judge can't stand them either, Michael.
Sure. Luckily, he seems to be getting delays in some of the other cases, but here, okay, they'll proceed basically apace. This, to me, might be the hardest case for them to present against Trump because, one, if people are paying attention to it at all, it only comes down to 2 issues. The 2 issues, if people read about the case, are Trump slept with models and porn stars, which everyone has known for 40 years, and 2, Trump made an in-kind donation to his own campaign, which everyone knows is legal and knows intuitively is perfectly fine. If you can't donate to your own campaign, then who can donate to your campaign? And I understand that the New York prosecutors are going to throw as many little aspects of campaign minutia as they possibly can. But that's all it comes down to. I don't know how for any, not just ordinary voter, but even somewhat sophisticated, tuned in, educated voter, I don't know what else emerges from that trial that would change their opinion of Trump.
Financial experts thought we were in the clear. They were anticipating around 6 rate cuts by the Fed this year, and then the inflation data came out higher than expected. This isn't going away anytime soon. How could it? The US is 34 trillion bucks in the hole. And yet we just keep on printing money, which pushes the prices you pay every day even higher. So you can either bury your head in the sand or you can do something about it. One option to consider is to diversify a portion of your savings into gold with Birch Gold Group. Gold can be your hedge against inflation, and Birch Gold makes it easy to own. They will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold, and you don't pay a penny out of pocket. Text Megyn to 989898 and get your free info kit on gold. Then speak with a precious metal specialist about how you can choose to protect your savings from persistent inflation with gold. Text Megyn, MEGYN, to 989898 now. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.